This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast.
Welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, where we help women remove the overwhelm of living their most holistic life. This is the place to find evidence-based nutrition tactics, healthy lifestyle and wellness tips, abundance mindset, and easily implementable low-tox living strategies so you can rise up to your full potential and protect your family's health. I'm your host, Stacey Heine, certified holistic nutritionist and better living advocate. Now, let's get empowered with some simple swaps that make a big impact for optimal wellness. It is episode 50 of the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, and I am very excited for you to hear from today's guest. It is my friend Ashely from RawandRadiant. Ashely Chong is the founder of Gym Juice Bar and a 10-year raw vegan who lost over 127 pounds and restored her health through nutritional therapy. Her transformation has been featured on People magazine, Forks Over Knives, Mercy for Animals, and so much more. As a current creative entrepreneur, her brand RawandRadiant has inspired thousands of people to take control of their health and to adopt a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet. In this episode, Ashely and I talk all about the raw vegan life and where she got started with that, how that all changed her life, and how she's helping other people transform their life as well. We also, of course, touch on entrepreneurship and what that is like for her. And I think you're going to absolutely love this inspiring story. So I will see you on the flip side, but until then, enjoy, my friend. All right, Ashely, welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, my friend.
Hi, how are ya?
So good. Okay, I'm really excited that you're on because I've been raw. I'm no longer raw, and I need to know all the things raw. And for those of you listening to this episode, you might not have any idea what I'm talking about, but Ashely eats raw vegan, and this is pretty epic, and we're going to dive deep into this. But Ashely, I want to ask you first, where did your plant-based journey start?
It actually started with raw. That's a really good question because a lot of people ask that and they're really, really shocked to know that it started with raw. So just a little bit of background about my story, about my journey. So it was 10 years ago. It was April 1st, 2012. And I was really honestly just wanting to lose weight. That's how my journey started. I wanted to lose weight. I was 253 pounds. And I wanted to lose weight for my sister's wedding. She had an upcoming wedding. And I just, I knew I was going to be a bridesmaid and I didn't want to look crazy. It was the first big family event in a really long time. So I wanted to lose weight. I ended up going to a doctor first because, that's what you do. I went to a doctor and they diagnosed me with pre-diabetes and, obesity, all these things. And those are things I knew, pretty much going in, and definitely the obesity part. I was kind of shocked to hear about the pre-diabetes and things like that. But the first thing they did was they wanted to prescribe me phentermine and they wanted to give me B12 shots, things like that. It didn't ever sit right with my soul. It didn't feel right at all. So I just kind of walked out of there knowing the facts, knowing that I did, that I was about to, get diabetes. I was about to, have that diagnosis, and that I was, 253 pounds and I was super unhealthy. So I kind of went about it my own way. I worked at a library at the time and I just started researching. So I started reading everything I could get my hands on about nutrition. I came across everything. I was in a library, so I was reading everything. And the word that popped out to me most was plant-based, vegan, whole food vegan. And it made sense to me. And I was like, this makes a lot of sense. I actually was introduced, rewind a little bit back. I was introduced to actual veganism in high school when I was 15. So this was, a little bit prior to that. And my teacher, she was vegan. And I just remember in my head me saying, wow, that's crazy. I'll never be vegan, you do you, but like we had a Chick-fil-A in our school and I was like, well, I'm going to go get Chick-fil-A. And, when I started to read more into it, back, 21, so fast forward like 6-7 years after that, after high school. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. And so I continued to do more research. I wasn't ready. And I continued to do more and more research. And then I came across, lots of blogs, lots of Instagrams and people who are succeeding with raw veganism. And then I really looked at a lot of these before and after transformations of just 30 days. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So not only are we going to be eating plants in their whole form, but we're going to eat them in their natural state. We're not going to cook them. We're going to keep all of those living nutrients inside of them. That's what we're going to do. So that just really just sparked my spirit and sparked my soul. And I was like, this makes sense. This is what I need to be doing. So I said, I'm going to try this for 30 days. Let's just do it for 30 days, and by day 27, I said, I'm never going back to eating, meat, dairy, cooked foods again. And, it's been almost 10 years. April will make 10 years.
That is crazy. That is seriously awesome. I will say I would probably be raw if I lived somewhere warm. That was the only thing that kept me. But, when I went down, I was already plant-based. When I learned about raw living prior to going plant-based. That was from David Wolf.
Okay.
And, but then once I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which was several years after I had gone plant-based, and that was because of other reasons, the birth control pill and other things that kind of made my body crash. I went raw to try to heal. And man, do you feel so good? It's just so great, like you're filling your body. You're
so
feeding,
much.
like at a cellular level, you're just filling. I say like high vibe eating, and people are like, what is that, Stacey? That's so like non-scientific. And I'm like, listen, you don't get it until you get it. When you when you eat these living foods, like you feel a difference. So high on life.
You feel high, like you're vibrating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a legit vibration. Okay. So 27 days or 29 days or whatever it was, like you said, look, I'm never going back. Why did you decide that? Was it just because strictly how you felt? Like what happened with your body? What was the transformation?
Well, just to rewind what you said and to go on what you were saying, the high vibrational like energy that I was feeling, I had never felt this way in my entire life. Like how connected I felt to the earth around me, to the food that I was eating, to the plants, to the sun, to the grass. I felt like I was just completely high on life. You know what I mean? Like I was going around with springtime and everything felt alive to me. I just remember going around hugging like trees and like kissing flowers. And I just felt amazing. Like I felt absolutely amazing. My body felt good. I had so much energy. I felt that I could do anything. Like my skin was clearing up. I was losing weight. And I like most of all, just like that, mental, spiritual, just vibration that was so high. It felt amazing. Like it wasn't just a physical, because, a lot of people look at my pictures and they'll say like, oh, wow, what a great physical transformation. But it was such a mental and spiritual transformation that was happening inside of me as well. And I think of that. And I'm positive that was what's kept me on the journey, because you can lose weight in so many different ways. You know what I mean? But that feeling that you get, that high vibe eating that you're talking about, that's what I got from those 27 days. And that's why I continue to go on. And that's why I continue to go on now.
Okay. So tell us I'm sure it looks different now, or maybe it doesn't look different now, but when you decided to do this, was it like a challenge? I mean, was it like a 30-day, like boot camp type, like kick you in the pants. This is what we're doing. We're doing like all these smoothies. Like, what did your food look like? Was it a lot of zoodles? Was it a lot of nuts and seeds, tons of avocado? Or, I mean, like, what was it?
That is such a great question. How I ate for those first 30 days was really a lot different from how I eat now. My rules really then were just, anything raw. I dug out an old Jack LaLanne juicer out of the garage that my dad had. And I did use that to juice a little bit, but it wasn't mostly juices. It wasn't mostly smoothies. It was a lot of just food in its whole form. I remember lots of grapefruit. I remember lots of salads with hemp seeds, nuts and seeds. Nowadays, I practice lots of, food combining and making sure I'm eating lots of mono meals and eating my fruit first. During my first 30 days, I did not practice that at all. It was just like, just make sure everything you're eating is raw. When you're hungry, eat as much as you want, but just make sure that it's in its natural state. Make sure it's a whole fruit, vegetable, leafy green nut or seed. And that's all I did. So big leafy green salads for lunch, big leafy green salads for dinner. I had fruit in the beginning of the day. And, sometimes I would, try my hand at some raw gourmet recipes that I would see online. I had no idea what I was doing then. And I look back and I was like, wow, that was terrible,
Yeah.
But that's how I started and that's how I learned. I actually remember trying to make a raw fettuccine at the time and getting cashews to make it. And I didn't have a Vitamix blender at the time. I just had one of those regular Oster blenders and, just trying to make it then and there. And, it worked out, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah. Vitamix is like game changing.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So can you explain, let's go back to the salads, because not just with plant-based eating, but even, really with raw too. Can you explain to the people listening how big your salads are?
They're pretty big. And with the standard American diet, usually we're just taught, to have, a side salad or a salad is just a little small plateful. But when you're eating foods that are really, nutrient dense, but low calorie, you just have to eat a lot more just so you're full, especially in the beginning. Now, maybe I could eat a little bit less. But when you're in the beginning stages, like make sure your bowls are big. Like I used a family sized mixing bowl, so that's the size,
Yeah. So I think that when people are transitioning to whole food, plant-based or raw, like they definitely are most of the time under eating. Yes. Especially if they are not eating like bread or pasta. Because the foods are just so much calorically less. They're less calorically dense. And so that's just a word for you guys listening. Make sure that you are eating enough when you switch this lifestyle. And, for Ashely, it stuck for her because she was nourishing her body properly and giving herself the food that she needed and the amount that she needed. So she felt well. So, the last thing that we want you to do is to try to transition to a lifestyle like this and not give yourself enough and then feel deprived. And that is when you can't stick to it. So Ashely, you help people. Do you help people transition to raw?
I do. I actually have a community, a raw community, and I help the members of the community transition into 100% raw or like kind of like a raw till dinner type plan. And I send out weekly meal plans. I go live with them once a week and we just talk and we just, I kind of coach them into the lifestyle. I also do personal coaching as well. If someone really needed really in-depth, one-on-one help, I do that as well.
Got it. Okay. So when along this journey, it's been almost a decade, did you decide that, hey, look, this has transformed my life. I feel as though maybe I should help other people do the same. When was that?
I guess I was sharing on Instagram the whole entire time. I actually had gotten Instagram maybe 3 or 4 months prior to going raw. And I used Instagram back then. It was just a platform to take pictures, and share, what you were doing. And that was Instagram, 10 years ago. And I really just took pictures of my food and then, started people started following that, and I, took some before and after pictures. And then once I took some before and after, I was like, wow, like, I really did lose over 100 pounds. Like, this is crazy. And then like, I kept sharing and I kept sharing. And then People Magazine actually reached out to me. Maybe I was like 2.5 years, 3 years, maybe into my journey at that point. And then I had so many people reach out to me after I was on the cover of that Half Their Size magazine. I had so many people reach out, and I was like, this is my calling. I'm supposed to help people. I was supposed to gain that weight after high school. I was really, this is my journey to help people. So that's when I started doing free groups. And I was like, does anyone, want to go raw? Does anyone, need help, transitioning from standard American diet? And then I had so many people join those WhatsApp groups at the time, and I would help and coach that way. And then it just kind of evolved from there. Yeah. So about 3-4 years in.
Love that. Love that. And you just listen to your intuition. Like, look, I love it too, Ashely, that you looked back and you're like, this all happened for a reason. Like, you are not a victim of your circumstances, and everything happened for you, not to you, right? Like, this was God or the universe's way to, change your life and change so many other people's lives. This is incredible. Okay. So you launched that. You have now a restaurant. Is this brand new? Like, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So I just launched Jim Juice Bar in October. So it's about 3 months old now. And it really just kind of fell into my lap, just the opportunity to do it. And I really just wanted to be able to serve nutrient dense food, juices, smoothies, salads to my community. Because I'm in the South, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. And, here is fried chicken, barbecue, all of those standard American diet foods that are actually causing the diseases and causing the restlessness, and all of, all the illnesses that we're seeing. So I was like, I need to do something. I need to just have that offering to my community, because I'm on Instagram, I'm on social media, and I'm giving all these tips. So what about my local community? What can I do to reach my local community? So that was an opportunity for me to do that. And it's always been a dream of mine since, going raw, to be able to serve, nutrient dense foods to people who want them, because there's a lot of people who would love to juice every day, but they're so busy. They have children, they have jobs, things like that. So just to give, a little bit of something to the community, that was why I launched Jim Juice Bar. And it is inside a big health club here. And we have a chiropractor, juice bar, gym, everything inside. So that's why we call it Jim Juice.
That is seriously so awesome. And yeah, we used to sell plant-based. I used to sell these little raw balls. Like, I would make, people call them bliss balls too.
Yes.
I made lemon poppy seed. I did brownie. I did apple pie. And we would sell them at the farmer's market with, we still have the farmer's market booth, but my husband sells produce. And like, as his little side gig. And then I had my little side gig of like raw. I did a cashew queso cheese.
Oh, that
was raw. I don't think that was raw.
Where are you located at?
We're in Indiana. So
nice. Very cool.
People definitely need all the plants here too.
Hey friend, before we get too far into this episode, I want to be sure you know about how the environment plays a role on your overall health. For over a decade, I've been learning so much about the lack of health regulation in the personal care and food industries, and that's actually one of the reasons why I started this show. You deserve to know how to protect you and your family from unwanted body burden, and I share further information about how to make better choices and vote with your dollar in our private Facebook community called The Urban Pharmacy. On that note, I want to let you know about one of the easiest ways that we've switched to safer, and that's through my favorite clean beauty brand called Beauty Counter. Your skin is your largest organ, and what you put on it every day matters a lot. And with a low carbon footprint, cruelty-free formulations, and high-performing results, I haven't found a better beauty brand than Beauty Counter in over 5 years of working with this mission-driven brand. To learn more and shop clean, head to mybetterbeauty.com.
Go go back to the clients that you were talking about, the people that you're helping, and how you wanted to help people transition from a standard American diet. What do you see the most, Ashely? Like, what is the biggest problem that people are suffering with in terms of their health? Like, are they morbidly obese? Like, I mean, who's coming to you mainly for help and to transition?
It's a lot of people who are overweight, a lot of people who have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, a lot of people who are having skin issues, a lot of people who kind of went plant-based, but they're kind of stuck into like a junk food vegan kind of phase, and they're trying to transition into more of a whole food, mostly raw, maybe not even 100% raw, but they just want mostly raw, and they just don't know how to incorporate that raw, or they don't know how to stick to it, or they don't know what's, they've been vegan, but they don't know, is this healthy vegan or is it unhealthy vegan? So all different walks of life, I help, but yeah, people who have been diagnosed with the heart disease, diabetes, those are the main ones that are coming to me. A lot of autoimmune disease, all of that.
Yeah. Standard American diet, standard American diseases. Okay. Yeah. Got it. All right. So when you're helping people, do you have them go straight into this lifestyle like you did? Or is there like a step-by-step that you teach? How does that look?
Yeah, absolutely. So no, we don't ever go on 100% raw like I did. Some people can transition like that overnight. Most of the time it's very, very hard for someone to do that. So we have a transition phase where we just kind of inch raw in, and we'll have like, hey, we'll have a raw breakfast. We'll have, mostly fruit for breakfast, or we'll have a smoothie. We'll always have a fruit-based first meal. And then I'll teach them how to make a nutrient-dense salad. So we're not just having, iceberg lettuce or romaine lettuce, but we're adding dandelion, we're adding arugula, we're adding, different type of mixed greens, tatsoi, bok choy. We're adding all of these type of greens to the salad, we're adding hemp seeds, things like that. So we start learning that and we incorporating that. And then we have a regular whole food, plant-based, dinner. And then we just kind of, incorporate that raw slowly but surely until we get into like week 3, 4, where it's like, okay, we're going to try all raw. It's going to be a little hard, but we're going to do it. And, most of the time it works out.
Awesome. Love that. Okay. So explain to us why you recommend fruit first.
Because it's hydrating, 1, and 2, because fruit first, always on an empty stomach, is the number 1 food combining rule. Usually when you eat fruit after like a fat, like an avocado or nuts or seeds, the nuts or seeds take a lot longer to digest, around 3 or 4 hours to digest, whereas the fruit is going to take 15 minutes to 45 minutes. So you're going to want that fast digesting, hydrating, mostly watery fruit to go down first, have it digest, and then have your slower digesting stuff come after that. So that is why I always recommend fruit first on an empty stomach.
Got it. Yeah. I always find that like I get bloated. Well, I used to have like peanut butter for breakfast. I don't eat heavy, very much fat in breakfast anymore. It's always like a lot of fruit, and I feel so much better. And I would get bloated after having like nut butter after fruit. It just was not, or I'm sorry, fruit after nut butter. It just was not a good thing. Okay. So that's interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about food combining for people who have just no idea what you're talking about?
So food combining is just like, I guess a term just describing the best way for you to eat to have the best digestion. So when you have efficient digestion, then you'll have efficient assimilation, because we hear all the time, you are what you eat, but you are what you can assimilate as well. So if you're eating the nut butter, then the fruit, you're not really, and your body's not really digesting that fruit as well as it can. And you're not going to get as much nutrients out of the fruit that you could if you would have combined it correctly, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's just a very simple way of putting it. I have a whole ebook dedicated to the topic and how you can tell what foods are, should be eaten first, like fruits that are acidic can be eaten with fruits that are subacid, things like that. It can be very complicated. It can get complicated, but you really just have to really learn and listen to your body. I had 2 really great mentors that kind of introduced me to the topic back in 2012. And it just made so much sense. They said to me, if you were out in nature and you came upon a mango tree, you would just eat a ton of mangoes. You would have a mono meal of mangoes, right? You wouldn't eat like mangoes and cilantro and avocados. It doesn't really make sense naturally, so just trying to stick to that same, that same vibe of just like being natural, and naturally you're going to eat more mono meals. You're naturally going to eat like, you'd rather eat like 4 mangoes instead of mangoes, crackers, flax crackers and salad all at one meal. It just doesn't make sense naturally.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So do you juice a lot?
Oh yes, I juice a lot. But I would first like to say that you don't have to juice to be successful on Raw. It's just something that I really love to do. I find it medicinal. And if someone is having a lot of digestive issues, it's a way to just get nutrients into the bloodstream. It's a way to, alkalize your body without having to digest, without your body having to go through that energy process of digestion. You can just literally absorb nutrients, liquid vitamins from raw fruit and vegetables. So I love it. I think it's medicinal, but it's not necessary if you don't have one.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember when I was eating this way that I bought a lot of produce. Do you have tips for people? I still buy a lot of produce now, but I mean the amount, especially when I was juicing, like, do you have any money saving tips for people that, because you're eating a lot more, like,
right.
Especially if you're juicing, you're going to be filling your cart with a lot of stuff. Do you go and buy like bulk?
Yeah. So my number one tip usually for money saving is to buy what's in season. You know what I mean? Buy and eat and juice what's in season, because that's always going to be cheaper because there's way more supply. So the price is going to go down. So always buy in season. And if you are close to a grocery store, if you have a little bit extra time, what I do is that I like to buy my produce every 2 days, every other day, whenever I can, just to keep it fresh. And just because you can always see what's really on sale, and to see like the discount carts. I always go to those discount carts. Like last week I went to Harris Teeter and I got 6 or 7 bags of seeded oranges for like $1 each, just on the produce cart. And I was like, oh, wow. So just making sure you're looking in the grocery store every day, buy in season, buy in bulk if you can.
Yeah. Love that. Do you have anybody that helps their kids do this, go into transition of Raw?
Yeah. So I have a whole book on, Raw for kids. I actually hear my daughter coming down the stairs now, but she was pretty much raised 90% raw, and she eats 90% raw, lots of fruit, lots of leafy greens, smoothies. She does eat about, maybe 5 to 10% of her diet is cooked, or it's like chickpeas. She's like, no, sure, not done there.
I fear it's all good. My son always walks in on these episodes.
Yeah. So she eats a little bit of that, but mostly raw. My pregnancy with her was completely raw.
Love it. Yeah. People don't need to worry. You guys, we have amino acid pools and our bodies really know what to do. It's pretty epically amazing. Okay. So speaking of amino acids, let's go back to like food and what you're eating. You say you start your day with fruit. You're flooding your body with those nutrients and the hydration. And then what happens the rest of the day? You said a salad. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually I'll have like a nice smoothie after the fruit. I'll have another smoothie, usually a green smoothie, and then maybe a mono meal of fruit again. And then I'll have maybe a mid meal of a salad, leafy green salad, nutrient dense. So it's hemp seeds, lots of different leafy greens in there, pretty nutrient dense salad. And then if I'm feeling a little hungry later, maybe I'll have something like zoodles, cucumber noodles tossed in tahini, or I'll have nori. Okay. I'll have nori. Okay. I'll have nori, or I'll have nori wraps, things like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you do like the jicama rice a lot?
Sometimes I like cauliflower rice a lot too. So I'll do I have a Spanish style cauliflower rice. That's like one of my go-to cauliflower rice recipes that I like a lot. So I'll do cauliflower rice in there as well.
Got it. Do you think that people that want to transition to raw that don't have a dehydrator can be fine?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. And actually, really and truly, you shouldn't really rely on dehydrated foods at all, because they do dehydrate you, and it shouldn't be a big percentage of your raw diet, so, cause you're trying to hydrate by eating all the fruit, and you don't want to dehydrate, too much of your foods. Like, it's a great raw treat here and there, but it's definitely not, need it all. I didn't have a dehydrator for the first year and a half, actually.
Yeah.
But it is a good way. I will say it is a good way if you are in a really, really cold environment to warm your food just a tad if you need to. So
yeah. What is your favorite thing to make in the dehydrator? Do you make crackers like often, or?
Not often, but more so like in the winter time, like we're getting into December or January, I'll make flax wraps to make, wraps for my daughter, like hummus wraps, things like that. But I'll make the actual wrap in the dehydrator. I'll do kale chips for my daughter in there. We'll do flax crackers. We'll do raw falafel balls, all those fun things.
Yeah. Do you save the pulp when you're juicing and use that?
For crackers sometimes. Yeah. So if I'm planning on making crackers, the next day or so, then I'll save my pulp if it's a savory juice. So if I'll do like a tomato, celery juice, I'll definitely save that pulp for for some raw crackers.
Cool. And then, so for people that want to make a wrap, I'm sure it's in your ebooks. Maybe.
Yes. It's in the Raw for Kids ebook. That one, it's in there. Yes, but it's a pretty simple mixing some water, some flax seeds, maybe blending a little bit of bell pepper into it, maybe adding a date, whatever seasonings you want, spreading it on a Teflex sheet, and then just putting in the dehydrator, for about 8 hours, flip it, and then you have a nice raw wrap. You just wrap all your veggies inside. So I'll like make a salad, and the salad's already like tossed and all the dressing. Then I'll put that inside the wrap, maybe add some avocado, maybe add some sprouts, microgreens, and then wrap it up and to make one big wrap.
Yummy. Yeah. I was just curious if you use flax seeds or chia seeds. I've never tried to make a chia seed wrap. I don't know if that would actually work.
You can add them into a flax wrap. You can use both, actually, chia and flax.
Cool. Okay. All right, friend. Okay. Let's talk back about the entrepreneurship journey, because for people that I have a lot of plant-based guests on this podcast, and a lot of them happen to actually be entrepreneurs in some way. So let's just transition to that. And I want to ask you a few questions about that. Ashely, what do you find the most rewarding about being an entrepreneur?
Just being able to be at home with my daughter, and to make my own schedule and to not have to, say like, hey, like I need time off to spend with my daughter, or I need, time to spend with my family or to go on vacation. Like all of that is up to me. So that's one of the biggest things I love. I love that my income is, done by me. Like I can make more if I work more, I make less if I work less, but it's all based on my work ethic and it's not capped. I love that my income is not capped by a salary or anything else.
Yes. So rewarding. And how old is your daughter again?
She is 4. She'll be 5 in about 4 or 5 days. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Cohen turns 5 in June. So.
Oh, awesome. Yes, she'll be 5 on next Monday.
Oh my goodness. So exciting. Okay. So what is the hardest thing about entrepreneurship?
Managing your time, I really, I have a schedule, I have tasks that I stick by every single day, and I keep, have a to-do list and keeping it organized. But I would say just delegating, between, because I run 3 businesses right now. I have the, the social media with RawandRadiant. I have the gym juice. I have a CMOS e-commerce business, and really just delegating my time between them, making sure that I give each business enough attention, I would say is one of the hardest parts, because sometimes I'm just like, well, I'd love to sit and, make reels all day. I love your reels, by the way. I would love to sit and make reels all day, or, make smoothies all day, but sometimes like, okay, well, CMOS direct needs this work, or I need to go and, maybe do some labels for gym juice, but just kind of like delegating my time between them.
Yeah. Well, girl, you've got like sponsorships and all the things that you got to worry about anyway. So don't worry about making the reels. I mean, you do make reels. You make awesome reels.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So entrepreneurship is awesome, and it's also really hard, but it's super rewarding. And yes. I'm really happy for you that you followed your North Star and your gut to go down this path. You're changing so many people's lives. Tell us a little bit more about CMOS.
Okay, so CMOS is it's like a sea plant. It's grown in the sea. It's super alkalizing. It has tons of minerals, and about 90 to 92 minerals out of the 108 that your body needs. And it's a really, really great way to nurture your body if you're one of those vegans who, eat a lot of junk food vegans, and you're not getting those juices and you're not getting your minerals in through leafy green juices, it's just a good way to just, take a spoonful of something and just nurture your body. I don't like to call it a cheat because some people think, oh, hey, I can eat all this junk and then have some sea moss and it'll work. Like, no, you still need to incorporate it, but it's a good way to build your body. If you're, working out and you need an extra boost, it's just a great natural way to do it.
Love that. Yeah. It's like all the rage, but I've never personally tried it. I can't believe I haven't. It's just so weird.
That's great. You'll feel amazing, especially after a workout. And then you just, I make it into gel, and then you can just put some in your smoothie, and it, you just feel amazing. I'm able to build muscle a lot easier. And it's just a really great vegetable.
Love that. Do you use aloe?
I do, but I use it topically. I don't use it in my smoothies. I know some people will juice it or put it in their smoothies. I do use it topically. I'll use it on my skin. But that's mostly it.
Got it. Cool. Okay. Ashely, I ask everybody this question, and I feel like this is kind of we've been kind of going through all of the things. What does holistic living mean to you?
Holistic means mind, body, and soul, physical, mental, spiritual, making sure that all of that is nourished, not just physically what you eat, but what you're listening to, the people you're around, making sure everything that you're intaking into your being is healthy, and making sure you're not doing any harm with outside things as well. So that's what I guess summed up holistic would mean to me.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Okay, friend. I want to ask you now, where can we find you? What are your top resources that you want people to be able to access so that they can start changing their life today?
Gotcha. So I have tons on my Instagram page. My Instagram is instagram.com/RawandRadiant. That's RawandRadiant, all one word, RawandRadiant. And on there, for anyone who is looking for any type of tips, I have lots of free information that I share daily through my stories. Make sure you look through all of my highlights. You'll get free information on sprouting, food combining, raw for kids, any type of topic, transitioning. It's all in my highlights. If you need a specific guideline, like, hey, I want to go raw, I don't feel like looking through all the highlights, I don't even know where to begin. The 21-day Radiant Cleanse is one of my best-selling ebooks, and it kind of takes you through 3 weeks of just being raw, like what to eat, what groceries. That's a really, really great ebook. Also, Raw for Kids is great if you are a parent, and also the whole Raw community. If you need just group support, if you need actual group coaching, that is a great place to start. Just check the link in the bio in my Instagram. I also have some personal coaching links on my website, RawandRadiantCleanse.com. So all of that's there for you guys.
Great. We'll put all of that stuff in the show notes. And okay, speaking of sprouts real quick, before we wrap up, you probably have, but I have to ask because Dr. Furman hadn't even had these. Do you and have you ever tried onion sprouts?
I haven't actually.
Oh my God, what is everybody doing?
I haven't actually.
They are so good, Ashely.
Really? I need to try them.
Oh, friend, they like elevate everything. Like just.
I did. That sounds like amazing in a nori wrap.
Dude. They are so good in a nori wrap. Like they do not, their germination rate is not like 100%, but okay. I think it's worth, even if the germination rate is like 50%, the flavor will like blow your mind.
Oh, I'm going to try that immediately.
Oh my God. They're so good. I'm going to
try it immediately. I've been stuck on like sunflower, like microgreens for a while, but I'm going to try that.
Yeah. We sell microgreens at the farmer's market. Like, ooh, you need to try amaranth microgreens, red amaranth.
I've tried those. I've had those before. They're great.
They're so pretty. And I just think about, all the anthocyanin in there. Okay, friend, you've got to try onion sprouts. Like
I am for sure.
So excited for you. It's going to be next level. You're going to be so.
Oh, yeah. That's happening immediately.
I'm so excited for you. Okay. Awesome. All right, Ashely. Well, that is it, my friend. I am so thankful for you and for your purpose and for you following it and for your time today, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me on. I super, super appreciate it all. I'm super grateful.
You are so welcome. All right. Be well.
I'm over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of The Urban Pharmacy. For today's show notes, head on over to theurbanpharmacy.com and be sure to join us inside our private Facebook group called The Urban Pharmacy, where we share inspiration, live trainings, and holistic living tips to help you build community and the healthy lifestyle that you've always wanted. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Before we connect again on the next show, follow me on Instagram at The Urban Pharmacy. That's urban with an H and pharmacy with an F. And I can't wait to hear your wellness journey as we get to know each other better. You know, there's truly no better time than now to level up your life, and I am so proud of you for showing up today. Until next time, be well, Health Crusader.